DaVinci Resolve 21 is out, and there's a new page, the photo page. Is it any good? How does it work? And is it a viable replacement for your existing workflows? Allow us to show you around. The photo page is available in the free version of Resolve. Editing photos in DaVinci Resolve starts like any other project, by creating a project. I'll call it Travel. I have a selection of images that includes raw photographs from a Canon camera in the CR2 file format, scans of negative film stored as TIFFs, and ordinary JPEG images. DaVinci Resolve is compatible with common RAW formats from manufacturers like Canon, Nikon, and Sony. Please check the release notes for a full list. If your format is not listed, we expect to see more formats added in subsequent releases. I could take advantage of the fact that these photographs are already organized in folders by dragging the root folder into the directory tree of the media pool. Let's head to the photo page. Well, this is new. There's no timeline, just a viewer, the media pool, the inspector, and down the bottom, this is called a photo album. We'll look at that in a moment. Let's go into the city bin. You can load photographs by clicking. You can zoom in and out using Resolve's typical zoom controls, or by using the photo page's hand mode. It's activated by pressing and holding the H key. If you are using a custom keyboard layout, you'll need to program this hotkey manually. If you are using the DaVinci Resolve keyboard configuration, this hotkey is assigned by default. While pushing and holding H, you can left-click and drag to move around the viewer. Or by double-clicking, you can zoom in to actual pixels or back to the image fitting the screen. The inspector has basic controls for transforms, cropping, simple one-click looks, and for adjusting the image. For example, this image would benefit from increased exposure in the shadows. In this image, the sign pops with a little extra saturation. I'll crop this image so it has a more pleasing composition. It's possible to crop it using the controls in the inspector. You'll notice it's automatically adjusting the crop to maintain the original aspect ratio. It's also possible to choose an alternate aspect ratio. You might like adjusting the image using these numerical sliders, or you might prefer using on-screen controls. Hit this button in the bottom left-hand corner, and now you can adjust the crop by clicking and dragging the handles on the image. There's even controls for making perspective adjustments. Because this photo was taken from a low vantage with a wide-angle lens, the buildings appear to lean in. You can simulate the effect of using a tilt-shift lens to straighten those vertical lines by adjusting the pitch. I can use the pitch control in the inspector, or because I have the on-screen controls enabled, I can use the control at the bottom of the viewer. They both do the same thing. Most programs that allow you to edit raw images give you special raw controls that allow you to manipulate the image at an earlier point in the image pipeline, while it's being demosaicked. Resolve is no different. The raw controls are in their own tab in the inspector. For example, I will use the exposure control to increase the brightness of this night shot. And in this shot, I will use the temperature adjustment to cool the image to better reflect twilight. You'll notice though that the controls for adjusting the image, either in the RAW tab or the main photo tab, are relatively limited. That's because DaVinci Resolve allows you to use both the Fusion and Color page to continue editing your photographs. There's no need to build a suite of new color tools when DaVinci Resolve already has them. Before you can edit an image in the Fusion or Color page, the image needs to be added to an album. I'll select all the images in the City bin and create a new album. Let's call it City. The album now appears in the bottom pane, and you can see that the album also exists as a clip in the media pool. Now that we can navigate our images in the album, we no longer need the media pool open. It can be closed with this button. Before we edit these images further, it's worth spending a moment talking about the image management functionality in the photo page. As photographers tend to shoot hundreds, if not thousands of images, organizational tools are just as important as the editing tools. I have two images of the Seattle Space Needle. The first has an unsightly crane. The second has a much cleaner composition. I'll mark the first as a reject using this button, and then mark the second as a good take. Good take matches the terminology used elsewhere in DaVinci Resolve to indicate a good video clip. It's possible to use hotkeys to make this process quicker. If you are using the DaVinci Resolve default hotkey preset, S marks a good photo as a good take, and X marks it as a rejected take. I can use the cursor keys to navigate images, assigning good takes as I go without ever taking my hand off the keyboard. Now that I've done that, it's possible to filter my album to only display my favorite images. There's many other ways you could filter the album, by metadata, flags, or for example, to show only images with a certain star rating. To configure that option, right-click on the star. Let's edit these images further. It's time to head to the color page. You'll notice that there are some small changes to the UI. There's no playback controls, and you also get the cool album filters and metadata controls for your images. That means you could continue to mark images as favorites or rejects as your editing progresses, without having to leave the color page. You can navigate between recently opened albums the same way you navigate between recently opened timelines, using the drop-down above the viewer. All the tools in the color page can be used to edit your images. You can build photo grades the same way you would build grades on moving images. For example, I'll add some saturation to this image in the first node. Let's increase the exposure with a little bit of gamma. There's a strong blue cast in the shadows that I don't like. The log shadows tool would be great for fixing that. It just needs a little bit of orange added. Let's add a second node because I want to darken the sky and add more color. I use the hotkey Option or Alt plus S to create a new node. A gradient window will let me isolate the sky. Now I can decrease the gamma and add some blue offset. Finally, let's add a parallel node to darken the foreground slightly. Again, I will use a gradient window and decrease the gain. Gain is less likely to crush the blacks than a tool like gamma or offset. Looking great! The next image in my album is a horizontal composition with the exact same camera settings. I can reuse the grade I created on the first image. There's many ways to copy color grades in Resolve. My favorite is this method. With the second image selected, if I middle click on the first, it will copy its grade. When you're done, head back to the photo page and all of your color page adjustments are visible. You might want to update the thumbnails to reflect those changes. This video is sponsored by Audiio, where with our discount code, you can get 70% off an entire year of royalty-free music. We use Audiio for all of our music. We'd like to highlight a genuinely useful feature, and that's their phone app. The homepage features new artists and playlists. That's a great place to start if you don't know what you're looking for yet. If you're out and about when you've got time to kill, instead of listening to music you already know, you can explore Audiio's library and start building ideas for your next edit. If you're looking for something specific, head to Search. You can do all the normal stuff like search through song titles, artists, and keywords, or you can hit this button in the middle. This is Hans AI. It understands the music in Audiio's library. You can either describe the kind of song you're looking for or describe the kind of video you're looking to make. Either way, when you find songs you like, mark them as a favorite. Now, when you sit down to start editing, instead of starting from zero, you're already ahead. You can get an entire year of Audiio Pro for just $60 using our discount code in the description. Check it out. It's possible to apply effects in the photo page as well. I'll demonstrate 3 different effects. Please note, these are AI tools, so that means they are part of DaVinci Resolve Studio. These are not in the free version of Resolve. The first is AI Cinefocus. It's a new effect. We're covering it in detail in another video. Find it in the effects browser and add it to the image by clicking and dragging. The effects controls can be adjusted in the inspector and the effects tab. This tool uses depth map to understand the scene and then applies a cinematic defocus effect that's determined by distance. In other words, you can use this to add shallow depth of field to an image with deep focus. Results will vary depending on the complexity of your image. This sort of effect will always look better when created in camera. In this instance, I'm going to use it to recreate a tilt-shift look. It looks like it's focused on the foreground by default. That can be confirmed by selecting the focus view in the inspector. The depth of field can be adjusted in the inspector with this slider, as can the focus distance. But it's also possible to manipulate it in the viewer. Turn on the viewer controls and select this icon on the right. This enables the viewer controls for either OpenEffects or Fusion Effects. As this is an OpenEffects effect, you want to make sure you have the correct overlay enabled. Now, you can simply click where you want the focus to be set. I'll choose the road in the middle of the image. Next, I'll return this effect to displaying the result. That looks pretty cool. Let's try another effect, this time the film look creator, and I'll apply it to this parking lot shot. Let's choose the Aurora preset. That's pretty cool that you can use tools designated for creating looks on your videos to create looks on your photographs. Any LUTs or plugins that you've been using in the color page can now also be integrated into your workflows. Finally, let's try Ultra Sharpen, another brand new effect in Resolve 21. No points for guessing what it does though, it's kind of in the name. In this image of the Space Needle, it makes the details on that distant building much clearer. It's also possible to edit images using the tools in the Fusion page. This image has some sensor dust. With the image selected, head to the Fusion page. I will create a paint node, equip the clone tool, and remove the dust. Hold down on Option or Alt to set where you are sampling from. And now you can use that portion of the image to paint out another portion of the image. It should be noted that the color page also has excellent tools for dust removal in images, and perhaps tools like this might come to the photo page in the future. More extensive image editing would be better handled in a program like Affinity. In short, it's not necessary to use the Fusion page for this sort of task, but should you require its immense power, it's possible to use it to edit your images. It's possible to use your edited images in video timelines without having to export them. I'm in the Edit page. I'll create a new timeline and call it My Edit, and add a handful of video clips. Now let's find that image of the LA skyline. When I drag it into the timeline, you can see that it has the color grade I already created. I can confirm that in the color page. Yep, the node tree shows the grade that we created. Using the drop-down above the viewer, let's go back to the city album where this image was graded and make a change. I'll make the sky a really obvious shade of green. Now, when we head back to the timeline, do you think that change will propagate? Let's see. No, it did not. The grade has not propagated. When we inserted the image, Resolve simply took a copy of the grade from the album. Do you know how remote and local grades work? If you don't, please go watch our video on it. There's a link in the description. Albums in Resolve use remote grades, but when we inserted this image into the timeline, it was created with the local grade by default. If I change this clip in the timeline to use a remote grade, it now reflects the changes made in the album. If I make further changes, like head back to the album and make the sky a different color, and then head back to the timeline, you'll notice that those changes automatically propagate. On the Deliver page, both albums and timelines can be selected. Timelines have video export controls, but albums have photo export controls. I'll export these images as JPEGs. This drop-down gives you really granular control over the export size. I'd like their size to be no larger than 2000 pixels. It's common in photography workflows to add extra information to the file name. That's configured in the File tab. Remember, metadata is applied with the % symbol. I'll start with the album name. That's accessed with timeline name. Then add the clip name. I'm using source name as it doesn't include the file extension. Then the date the image was recorded with date recorded. Now I can configure the folder to which these images will be saved. Add the job to my render queue and run it. As you can see, the images have exported with my custom file name and all of my color grades. Pretty cool. DaVinci Resolve has some awesome new features in version 21 for exploring your media pool. Let me show you how they work with the photo page. Please note that we're about to show you features from the studio version of Resolve. You'll start by having Resolve analyze all the photos in my media pool. That's done with this button. We only care about analyzing for Intellisearch, but there's no need to turn the other features off. Hit Analyze. This is going to examine the contents of your photos so you can search for images by describing what's in them. It's also going to look for people. I've got some pictures of me and Leon in the media pool. It's finished analyzing now. First things first, it can recognize people, but it doesn't know what to call them. You can manage recognized faces in the workspace menu under Manage Faces. It's done a good job of recognizing Leon, but it seems to have put me in other faces. Let's fix that by selecting all the photos of me and tagging them as a new face. And finally, let's give Leon a name. All right, we're done with this window. In the media pool, click on the search icon. I will make sure all bins is selected because I want it to search through all the images, not just the ones in the currently selected bin. Let's try a few search phrases. If I type in mountains, it shows me all the photos with mountains. If I type in dog, it shows me all the beautiful photos of that friendly German Shepherd. Or if I type in woman, well, it shows all the pictures of me. Some phrases work better than others. No doubt the accuracy of this feature will continue to improve. What about the face recognition that we set up? Click on the person icon on the right-hand side, and you can filter the media pool, or any search that you've done, to show you only photos containing the selected person. Is it possible to process film scans in DaVinci Resolve? Yes, it is. We will cover that topic in a separate video. We haven't covered everything. You can use the photo page with Blackmagic Cloud to collaborate on your images with remote artists. The photo page can also be used to capture from tethered cameras directly into DaVinci Resolve. And also, if you are switching from Lightroom to Resolve, Resolve can import your Lightroom photo catalogs. We're sure other educators will be making awesome videos about the photo page. We'll put links in the description. With the new photo page, Blackmagic is showing us yet again how quickly they can innovate and produce software in new categories. They did this in 2023 with the Blackmagic Camera app. It was Blackmagic's first iOS app. It's been successfully ported to Android. It's the de facto app for professional videography on phones. It's even been adopted by Apple over its own Final Cut camera app. And in 2026, they've done it again. Blackmagic has never developed photo editing software until now. The photo page is for high-level editing and management of photos. It's not a pixel-level editing program. So this is more like Lightroom or Capture One. It's not a replacement for Photoshop or Affinity. That being said, it is missing key features found in Lightroom and Capture One that many photographers rely on. But you can bet Blackmagic are aware of that as well. This is the first generation of Resolve's photo editing functionality. It's already usable. That's an amazing feat. But just think about where it might go as Blackmagic continues to develop it. Are you a full-time professional photographer? You could 100% use Resolve professionally. But we think you'll most likely want to stick with Lightroom or Capture One, certainly at least until Resolve's photo editing functionality has had time to mature and additional features have been added. There's 4 groups who we think might be making the switch now. Firstly, full-time filmmakers. Those primarily producing video, but for whom photo is a part of their projects as well. You'll love the vertical integration, and it will be easier to have your stills campaign match your video look when they're produced in the same program with the same tools. We'd imagine that professional colorists might start getting asked to finish photos as well as videos. Second group, part-time photographers who don't need the complexity of Lightroom. Third group, hobbyists who can't justify the expense of Lightroom and Photoshop. And lastly, power users. DaVinci Resolve offers a nearly unrivaled amount of control over your images. For those who need or want to have the greatest possible control over their image pipelines, Resolve is a dream. Having the photo page built into Resolve opens up other exciting possibilities. Will Blackmagic one day build a stills camera? Who knows? We hope you enjoyed this video and are as excited about DaVinci Resolve 21 as we are. Please go check out our other videos to learn more about DaVinci Resolve 21. Give this video a like so we know you enjoy it. Share it with other videographers and photographers. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching.